Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. I'm not Catholic. My wife is. She gives up meat on Fridays in Lent. I don't. Is that a bad move if I cook a steak tomorrow?
No, I'm not Catholic either, and it's not a bad move, no.
I mean, is that insensitive? Is it like,
well,
if she can't have it?
It's levels to
because
insensitive.
then she can't have it. That's torture.
But she doesn't like ribeyes anyway.
Yeah, well, look. You can't don't eat it in front of her. Are y'all eating like together at the dinner table?
I mean,
or?
probably.
Okay, well that's kind of.
I feel like that would be torture for me.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't know about that.
I couldn't
move.
sit there and watch you.
All right, I may thaw it out and make it happen Saturday or something.
Sneak
I've got
and eat
this
it.
delicious, huge Sagrera Farms ribeye in the freezer that I want to get to cooking. Maybe not tomorrow. I might maybe go with some. The thing that's like, Alyssa will say tomorrow, she's like, well, let's get like a shrimp fettuccine Alfredo or a big cheese pizza. It's like, is that really sacrifice? We're really sacrificing here.
Yeah.
Like it's
levels. It's levels.
There are levels for sure. All right. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We'll talk to Chris Blair coming up in about 12 minutes. He was in Knoxville with the basketball team, then in Austin with the basketball team. He'll be watching the Tigers and Tide tomorrow Saturday on the call for that. No baseball, I believe, for Mr. Blair this weekend as the Tigers headed to Jacksonville, and that's what I want to talk about here. Interesting weekend for LSU. I did some preliminary research on these three teams that LSU is going to play. It's Indiana, it's Notre Dame, and it's UCF. And I'm not going to try to overreact to 4 and 3 game sample sizes here. You can't tell if these teams are good or not based on 4 or 3 games, okay? But I'll tell you about each team that LSU will play and just an interesting nugget here and there. Indiana is who LSU will play tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so 23 hours from right now. The Hoosiers went to North Carolina at Chapel Hill this past weekend, and they got swept. They lost 9-4 on Friday. They lost 12-2 on Saturday. And they lost 4-3 in a real nail-biter in the game on Sunday. In the midweek, they actually played at home, which surprised me to hear Indiana was playing a home game in February. They beat Bradley 15-3 in the midweek. I don't know what the rotations are going to be for any of these teams, so I'm not going to swear to you this is how they're going to line it up, but I'll give you a nugget on the guy that started for them on that day of the week last week. Indiana's opening game starter last week was Tony Newbeck. And I heard that name and I went, I know that name from somewhere. I think that's a transfer that I'm familiar with. And it is. He was at Missouri last year as a left-handed pitcher. And I'm not going to be hyperbolic here. I'm not. I promise. But I could make the case that Tony Newbeck had the worst year of any pitcher in the Southeastern Conference last year. I could make the case. I don't mean to pile on Tony. He threw it great in Chapel Hill last week. Last week, 4 innings against the Tar Heels, no runs, 1 hit, walked 3, struck out 2 through 62 pitches. Good outing in Chapel Hill on Friday of last week. Last year at Missouri, 17 1/3 innings, 36 hits, 35 runs, 32 earned runs in 17 1/3. If you're thinking, what's the ERA on that? I'll tell you, 16.62 was Tony Newbeck's ERA. That's something you usually see if a guy's got 1 2/3 innings pitched and he gave up like 9. Nope, he threw 17 1/3 for Missouri last year. He started 4 games for them. He was 1-5 with a 16.62 ERA, but he is left-handed and he threw it well last weekend. So that's what I got on Indiana. If Tony Newbeck pitches tomorrow, that's a guy that LSU should hit. Notre Dame is the Saturday opponent. They played at Florida Atlantic on last weekend. They took 2 out of 3. They won game 1. They lost game 1 7-1. Then they won game 2 14-1 and won game 3 7-1. Their game 2 starter was a lefty. I don't really care to go into the details of it, but it's very possible that LSU will see a left-handed starter on Friday and Saturday. I think that would be interesting for me to see what Jay Johnson does with the lineup there. LSU sees a righty. I know what's coming. I know York's coming. I know Reeves is coming. I know Milam's coming from the left side. I know that you're going to see very likely you're going to see Jake Brown. You're going to see Derek Curiel, and you're probably going to see Mason Braun in the lineup in those cases. Like, I know what's coming with the righty. With the lefty, I'm curious to see how they shake some things out. Does Simpson play second base? Is John Pearson going to play third with Caraway at second? Who are they going to DH in that situation? Like, I think that there are more variables for LSU against the lefty. You could see it against Newbeck on Friday and against Crowell on Saturday. But again, there's no guarantee that Indiana and Notre Dame are just going to run it back with their rotations from last weekend. So we'll see. Here's where some of this stuff gets pretty interesting for LSU on Sunday. Central Florida's got two pitchers whose names you may recognize. Now, they opened the season against Siena. They won game 1 16-0 in 7. They won game 2 13-1 in 7, and they won game 3 15-0 in 7. That is a total of 44-1 against Siena. Wow. But then they stepped up in class in the midweek and they played Miami. And they lost the game 8-7 in 13 innings, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. They were leading that game. They had a commanding lead. They gave up 2 in the 8th and 3 in the 9th to tie it, to send it to extras, and lost in 13, 8-7. That's tough to give up 5 runs when you have a 7-2 lead in the last 2 innings. And I'll tell you what happened in the 9th inning of that game when they gave up a 3 spot to give up the lead. Chandler Dorsey, who pitched here last year briefly, is their closer. Not only did he blow the game, he hit 4 guys in the 9th inning. 4 in a 3-run 9th. Brutal stuff. And if LSU plays Central Florida, there's a chance in the 9th inning you could see former Tiger Chandler Dorsey on the mound. Now, what about in the starting rotation for UCF? Well, I was looking up who they started against Siena on Sunday of last week when they won 15-0. And I saw the name Camden Wicker. And I went, that's an SEC guy. Where'd he go? And I clicked on his bio. Not an SEC guy. Camden Wicker was Wofford's second starter behind Zach Cowan 2 years ago when LSU played him in the regional in Chapel Hill. And he was the Sunday starter for Wofford against LSU. If you don't remember that game, LSU walked Wofford off on Friday and then lost to North Carolina on Saturday. So they had to come back, beat Wofford in the morning on Sunday, and then go beat North Carolina in the evening. And in that game against Wofford, Ackenhausen started, and they lit him up in the first. And so Jay Johnson did something he did not want to do, and he went to Griffin Herring in that game in the first or second inning. And Herring gave you 6 1/3 to burn him for the regional. But he was brilliant. And that's the game that Camden Wicker started against LSU. And I remember watching him, and he was a freshman, and he was tall and lanky, and he threw hard, and he had a good changeup. And I was like, this dude's got something. And obviously, he has moved on now, and he's at Central Florida. So LSU saw this guy 2 years ago. I don't know how applicable that is to the stuff that he's got now. But it was interesting nugget that the guy that you saw for Wofford in the regional 2 years ago on Sunday, not Friday, is potentially the starter against you on Sunday this week. So for Indiana, got swept. They've got a former Missouri pitcher that pitched on Fridays who had a terrible year last year, but he's left-handed. Notre Dame took 2 out of 3 against Florida Atlantic. Now they come down here for game 4 tomorrow, and then they'll play LSU in their 5th game of the season. Their Saturday starter last week was left-handed. Maybe LSU sees 2 straight left-handed starters. And then Camden Wicker potentially on Sunday. And then we'll see if old Chandler Dorsey grabs the baseball against LSU in that game. Had a brutal outing in the midweek for Central Florida as he hit 4 guys in the 9th. So that's kind of a look at this tournament. I'll briefly discuss LSU baseball tomorrow during the game because I feel like, unlike Wednesday's show where I know you're all watching that game or listening to that game, In this case, you may not pay the $30 for D1 baseball. You may tune us in and the game, whatever the case may be. So certainly I'm not allowed to do play-by-play, but may mention a little bit of LSU's baseball. But big picture for LSU this weekend, and I'll talk about it in a couple segments. I want to see good stuff from the two sophomore right-handers. I need Evans and Schmidt to be better than they were this past weekend. And I'm just curious to see how Jay stacks the lineup. I think LSU is significantly better than Indiana, Notre Dame, and UCF. I think LSU should go there and win all three games. Wouldn't surprise me if you stubbed your toe like you did over in Frisco in 2023 when you dropped a game to Iowa. But I think that LSU is a decided favorite this weekend. And we'll have a little bit of a step up in competition, but it's one where LSU should take care of its business. We'll see. They crank things up in about 23 hours, 1 o'clock Central Time from over in Jacksonville. And that's a little preview of LSU's opponents coming up this week. Let me tell you, which I forgot to do in the first hour, so I can go ahead and do it now. I want to tell you about my friends over at Lifetime Roofing. LifetimeRoofingLA.com is the website. LifetimeRoofingLA.com. Look, they've got a lifetime workmanship warranty on their materials and their workmanship. That started up on January 1st, and they are so proud of it. That materials are backed by Certainteed, one of the oldest, most trusted names in building materials. So if you're looking for a roofing company that's based here, that's going to be here before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm, Lifetime Roofing will be here. And they give you a lifetime workmanship warranty, which is pretty rare out there in the roofing game. They also got financing options, 0% for 18 months. So if you want to buy a new roof retail, maybe you're selling your home and you need to put a new roof on it to improve the resale value, but you might need financing, they can do that for you for 18 months. Also, if there's a weather event and you've got a sizable deductible and want to finance that, they can do that as well. They got a whole department there, Lifetime Roofing, that can help you out doing that. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com. Been a tough go for LSU basketball. Obviously, Chris Blair has been courtside for all of it. We'll briefly talk about that and certainly what he's seen from the baseball squad as well. Come back with us. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Also, love telling you about my friends over at First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust started up in 1910. That's 116 years ago for those that are struggling with math. It's been a while for First American Bank and Trust. They've grown to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. It means there's always one near you, whether you're down the Rivier parishes, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, maybe up the I-12 corridor in Tammany, Tangipahoa. Certainly here in the 225, they can help you out with your commercial loans, with your personal loans. Everyone that works there at First American Bank and Trust is part of your community. And every decision that is made on loans, so maybe the future of a loan for your commercial business, for your home, the decision is made here in Southeast Louisiana. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, it's probably a mom and pop shop, do they have the resources I'm really looking for my business? They do. 25 locations says that out loud. So go by and see them at one of their 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you in. It's First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Time now to talk to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. He joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Back from his Knoxville to Austin two-step, and that'll be LSU and Alabama on the hardwood and the PMAC on Saturday evening. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to be back in Baton Rouge, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure it is. So the game in Austin was interesting because LSU fell behind 15, 16 points, and then all of a sudden McKinnon caught fire. What did that look like from your vantage point inside Moody Center?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, there was a stretch there. I mean, I think you and I talked about it a month ago. You know, there was a stretch in that Arkansas game up in Fayetteville where Darius Acuff was just like, give me the ball, get out of the way, and I'm going to put points on the board. And that's kind of what Max did there for a stretch in that second half. I mean, he had 6 points in the first half, which, you know, he had missed the Tennessee game with a knee injury. You know, and the good news was he was able to come back, but you're kind of thinking, you know, how much load can he handle when they consider the fact that, you know, he didn't start the game, but came in fairly early. And then, you know, second half, he just took over. I mean, they really had no answer for him. And I think a lot of it started with the middle ball screen because they got tapped a number of times, Nwoko and even Rob Miller. And then there were times where they would set the high ball screen, and then it was just let Max break him down in isolation. And he made some tough mid-range jumpers, got to the rim a couple of times, scored 21 points, and finished with 27. So, it was an excellent performance by him, just not enough offensive firepower. And that's unfortunately seems to be the story each and every night for this basketball team.
I was a little bummed that McKinnon did not get a shot in the last 2 minutes. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, again, there was the opportunity to tie it late. And, I love Pablo Tamba. I love what he does from an energy standpoint. But, he got the inbounds and you had to put it up quickly. And, it was odd that, unfortunately, I feel bad for Pablo that he was kind of put in that position where he had to take that shot and missed it badly. And, again, because the sure hot hand was clearly Max McKinnon.
I feel like Jalen Reese has played a couple pretty good basketball games in the last week. I heard Matt McMahon say that he thought he grew up in Knoxville and then 8 assists against just 1 turnover in the game in Austin. What have you seen from the freshman point guard?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's coming along, and we've watched him, I think, just get more confident. I mean, and I kind of explained it to Coach last night, early in the season, he had plenty of minutes in the non-conference. Then he's thrust into a starting role, with the injury to DJ to start the first 3 games of conference play. And, that's, again, baptism by fire. But it looked like in the last 2 games that he was like, you know what? I'm as good as this freshman. I'm as good as this junior. I can beat this senior off the dribble. It looks like he wants the ball and he wants to do something with it. And again, his first 2 buckets, I mean, there was a great 2-point bucket, and then he comes back and a little jab step, drop back, and buries the 3 in the guy's face. And it was like, wait a minute, whoa. So again, back-to-back double-figure scoring, first in SEC play for Jalen Reese. And then, like you said, I think the last 2 games, 13 assists, 2 turnovers.
Yep.
That'll get it done.
It hopefully will. Any chance Alabama's got some tired legs in the PMAC come up on Saturday?
Well, they certainly had to play a marathon game last night and single-handedly beat Darius Acuff Jr. I mean, that was an amazing performance. That was an amazing game. I mean, I laid down last night. The first thing I see on social media is the 2 top scorers in the history of Coleman Coliseum, and it's, Pistol Pete Maravich and now Darius Acuff Jr. But to your point, they had to expend, quite a bit of energy. And frankly, watching Alabama this year, I mean, offensively they do what they do. And they were able to replace what I thought was going to be hard, their backcourt, and they got 2 really good ones. But defensively, I don't know that that's the strength of Alabama. And again, kudos, they found a way to get a win in double overtime last night against a talented Arkansas team. But it's a team that wants to shoot a 3 before the shot clock hits 15. And it's a team that wants to move quickly. So, again, we've seen LSU at times, more so on the road than at home, for whatever reason, be able to slow the game down a little bit. And that's the only chance. There is no way under the moon, if that game gets 85 or above, that LSU can stick with Alabama. So they got to find a way to muddy up the game and try to keep it in the 70s at best. And, again, that's much easier to say than do.
Chris Blair is our guest, voice of the Tigers. Will be on the call for LSU and Alabama come Saturday in the Assembly Center. Let's switch over to baseball, Chris, and not necessarily this team specifically, although I have multiple instances that I've heard in press conferences of guys saying something to this. But Jay Johnson is building so much talent and depth on the pitching staff and the position player side that he can't play everybody every game, every at bat. And it appears to me in hearing the players talk, they're okay in some instances not starting that day or getting pinch hit for and then coming in and playing defense in this spot or getting a pinch hit spot here or relief spot here. I'm just in this day and age of college athletics where you feel like a lot of folks are doing what's best for them. The culture that Jay has built has struck me in some of the player sound that we've gotten. You're around him a lot. What can you say to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just 4 years I've said this. And frankly, to highlight your point even more specifically, Hunt, the fact that, 4 years ago there was, obviously there was transfer portal and there was NIL, but it is dramatically changed in the last 4 years. And yet even though it has become a part of college baseball, and we see it. I mean, obviously LSU's been the beneficiary of some great transfers, and so have other teams. The fact that he has been able to build the mindset that you are going to be able to eat at the table, not every single meal, but you'll be at the table. And because we have highlighted and lifted this program so much and the success that they have had under Jay Johnson, you are still going to benefit whether or not you are in every single game in the starting lineup and whether you get 5 at-bats a game. And somehow, again, and the proof is in the pudding. If you look at what guys have done that have come through the program under Jay Johnson, whether or not they've been an everyday starter or not, that he's been able to create that brotherhood, that identity, that mantra within the locker room is quite amazing. And I think baseball still continues to have that, at least college baseball. But I don't think anybody's done a better job of creating that type of culture than Jay Johnson. When you look at the sheer amount of talent that you can just plug and play off the bench, out of the starting lineup, out of the bullpen, I mean, it's really quite remarkable. And again, you have to caution yourself because, you know, at some point baseball is a difficult season. You'd love to go 56-0, but the chances of that happening are slim and none. And it's going to be kind of crestfallen because right now I think we're all just amazed at the amount of talent that is possessed in that locker room for LSU baseball. And frankly, I think the rest of the country feels that way too.
One of the platoons last year was Josh Pearson and Jake Brown. Neither batted an eye at their roles. John Pearson might be up for some of that. We saw him hit one over the bleachers yesterday. They got a lot of left-handed hitting infielders. He hits right-handed. Would it surprise you if John Pearson had a big role in this team?
No, I mean, I think he's making it very difficult to do that. I mean, obviously he was known for his hitting. He's known for his power. But you know, Jay has shown it time and time again. I mean, at some point, people make it impossible to keep him out of the starting lineup in a position somewhere on the field. And again, I think when you lead with offense the way John Pearson does, I think you will get your opportunities to crack into the starting lineup. But having said that, Hunt, I still would not be shocked at the end of the season that you don't have guys like John and others who, again, are going to have huge moments in winning situations for this baseball team come through time and time again and still not bat an eye that they are not the everyday starter at certain positions. Again, it's amazing. And when you talk to coaches, especially coaches who are not in college baseball, that's when you really find out the respect they have for Jay Johnson because they're like, I don't know how he does it.
It's impressive. In one press conference setting, Gavin Guidry and Mason Braun both said something to that effect. One guy's a fourth-year player. One guy just showed up like 20 minutes ago. It's been amazing to watch the culture that he's built. Winning does a lot for you. Chris, we appreciate some time. We'll be listening tomorrow. Thanks.
You got it.
Saturday, I should say, we'll be listening. That's Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, LSU, and Alabama from the PMAC on Saturday. Tigers in Jacksonville for weekend baseball. Afternoon start every single day for LSU, and that starts tomorrow at 1 o'clock against Indiana. So let me remind you, my friends, at Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Look, it's truck month in February for sure. If you're looking for a new ride in 2026, don't wait. Get to Highway 61 in St. Francisville, make that short drive, and see what makes the Fabry family so special. They've been at this 35 years in Baton Rouge. They know how to treat their customers. They know how to service that vehicle and that relationship after the sale. And if you're looking for a great deal, they got them. And I'll tell you every single day because it's going to be over in 9 days. It's a February deal only. Chevy Silverados, up to $11,000 off MSRP, 1.9% APR financing. GMC Sierras, up to $13,000 off MSRP, 0.0 APR financing. Incredible deals on trucks. They got your SUVs, Tahoes, Yukons, Denali's. They got all those. But if you're looking for a truck, Silverados and Sierras are 5 figures off MSRP. So go by and see them. Highway 61 in St. Francisville. That entire inventory is online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. Had something I wanted to get to on, speaking of Jay Johnson and the culture that he's built. Something has struck me with the fan base through a week and a half. I know it's going to change, but it's refreshing right now. And I want to talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Swing Easy, GCBR.com. Want to play some golf? You can do it. Weather doesn't look great on Saturday. It's going to be cold on Sunday, relatively speaking. Colder than it is right now. The weather's not going to be ideal for you, or you don't have enough time to go play golf for 5 hours. How about this weekend you go play 18 at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge? Bring 2 friends. Play Pebble Beach. Go play Cypress Point. Got one of the most famous holes in the world. Can you hit the green on the 16th? It's about 205 over water. You got that shot? Let's see it over at Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Seagan at Perkins. You can get a bucket of beer on ice, some seltzers there. They got a glass of wine for you. Comfortable seating. You can play the tunes on their turtle boxes there. You can watch some TV as well. It's all there at Swing Easy Golf Club. So make a weekend of it, make an afternoon of it, make a morning of it. If you don't have time to get out to the course, you can get out to Swing Easy on Seagan at Perkins. They're online at swingeasygcbr.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizen Bank and Trust want to cover your car payments. Enter to win $5,000 plus a bonus shot at 6 months of Benny Car Wash. Get an extra entries by subscribing to our LouisianaSports.net daily newsletter. Enter now at 1045ESPN.com.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I tell you every single week when they bring our shows on Thursday, the grading scale for beef is the intermuscular fat content, and it starts at 0. And if you go 0 to 3, 4, you're talking about select. That's not good. You're talking about 3 to 8, 4 to 8 to 9. That's your choice. That's the average stuff that you probably can pick up most places. Prime is what you see fine dining steakhouses advertise, right? Prime Angus beef. That's all Sean has. And that standard starts at 9 on this scale. He's got cows on his farm right now. They've been ultrasounded by veterinarians that are 12, 14, 17, 20. In some cases, double the standard of prime. It's a completely different way to do your beef at home. I'll tell you this. I love the steaks. I love the fillets. I love the ribeyes. I love the strips. They've been awesome. I love the flank steaks that we've gotten from Sean. My wife is obsessed with the burgers that I make with the ground beef. It's just a better quality of beef. Fat content is higher, and it's just more tender and flavorful. We had a bunch of folks at Christmas that got some Sagrera Farms beef, and we had a roast made one day. It was just incredible. The flavor, the tenderness is off the charts, and you're talking about right up the road in Ethel. Some of the best beef in the country. So if you want to quit going every week and get mediocre beef that may have hundreds or thousands of DNA in that 1 pound pack, go get a cow that has 1 DNA, that has never been improperly injected with antibiotics or used any steroids, that is locally raised on grass, finished on grain, dry aged 45 days, and is prime. Sagrera Farms. You give Sean a call. I give you his number. You just call him. You go up to the farm. There's only 2 places you can get Sagrera Farms beef. You can get it on the farm or at Supper Club. That's it. So call Sean. 225-719-1723. That's 225-719-1723. And go get some beef. It's Sagrera Farms. I'm going to regret this segment at some point because I'll be proven wrong. I know how sports works. This is not an LSU thing. It's a sports thing. But I've been pleasantly surprised at some of the reaction to this early baseball season. Because overwhelmingly, 95% of what I've read, my Twitter, my conversations with friends, my group text message, Tiger droppings or whatever, like people talking about LSU baseball. If there's a perceived weakness on the team, the almost immediate reaction is, Jay will figure it out. Nesky's got it. Don't worry about it. No big deal. That's so rare because we generally live in the world, and we did it for football with 2 years, and we do it with basketball every 10 minutes. It's always fire the coach, fire the coach, fire the coach. The coach sucks, fire the coach. This is going to fall. It's like it's constant. And that, personally, I'm not wired like that. It kind of drives me nuts. And I realize they've won 2 national titles in 3 years, okay? So that's about as much equity as you can build up in a short time. But to see the fan reaction of like, yeah, Evans wasn't great on Friday. It'll be fine. Yeah, Schmidt wasn't awesome on Sunday. Yes, he's got it. To hear Folks say, well, they went through an offensive lull on Saturday. Oh, Jay will get that figured out. No big deal. Well, do they have a second baseman? I mean, he's got depth. It's good. It's refreshing to me. I don't know if it's realistic, because I'll tell you, like, candidly, I have my significant questions about the rotation. I think the offense is going to be really good. And I really trust that the bullpen will have some very, very strong pieces to turn to. The rotation, I don't believe, is solidified, and I think potentially may not live up to the standard. That's how I view it. But the fan base doesn't. And for the most part, I'm not putting a blanket on everyone, but the fan base really doesn't. I love that. It makes me happy. Now, they're going to lose a weekend or 3 this year. They might lose 4. Like, it's a tough conference. The sport's unforgiving, and if something doesn't work, and at that point, people will address the cracks in the armor. And hand up, like 2023, I hit this desk right here, and I hit the panic button when they couldn't get Mississippi State out in the bullpen. And I said, look, they've got Skeens. Nobody's emerged as number 2. The bullpen really hasn't come together at all. Cooper's getting knocked all over the yard. Shores and Edwards are hurt. I don't think they can figure it out. I said that. 2024. They were 3-12 at the break. I said they're not going to make it. I, like Mr. Optimism, have expressed sincere doubt about those 2 teams. One of them won the national championship, and the other one turned it completely around behind 2 great starters and a good lineup, and they got to the finish line of the Chapel Hill Regional and just fell a little bit short. Now, last year, I said midway through when they played Arkansas and Tennessee, I said, look, I don't know what's going to happen. They're good enough. I promise you they're good enough to get this done. They may not, but that week against those 2 programs, those 6 games, even at home, I said they are good enough to do this. So I didn't necessarily have that moment in time in 25, but I certainly did in 23 and 24. And that moment more than likely is coming because baseball seasons have their adversity. But I just am enjoying this early season period where essentially the reaction to any negative that comes up over the course of a game or a weekend, everyone just goes, it's fine. We got Jay. And I think that's an amazing thing because I do think that in the off season, fans are wired extremely positively. In season, fans are wired to overreact negatively. That's my general take on the situation. And so for us to get into the season, I know they're playing teams that are way overmatched. It's way early. They've got, what are they playing, 4? They've got 52 games left, okay? This could sound like a stupid segment in 25 hours from right now if they lose to Indiana by 4 tomorrow. And Evans gets crushed in the 3rd inning. Like, I understand this could be dated literally one day from now. But I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing right now, and it's encouraging. I'm wired like this for baseball. More often than not, I'm going to let things really play out. Now, I've just told you what has happened in, I would call that late March, early April for me in those 2 instances. But the positive equity that Jay Johnson has built is incredible. And I do enjoy the fact that there are lots of LSU fans that probably think it's more likely than not LSU will win the national championship this year. Like, that's the brain warp that we've got down here that I love. But just go over to College Station, Texas, and go over to Fayetteville, Arkansas, go over to Starkville, Mississippi, and Gainesville, Florida, and ask those fans how realistic it is to think that it's more likely than not you'll win the national championship. Florida's had a power for 15 years under O'Sullivan. They got 1. Dave Van Horn's built a machine. They've won 18 league games or more every year since 2017. 18 or more every year. No titles. They've been churning out first-round picks over there in College Station. Nothing. Ole Miss, they had to win a national title when they were dead and buried the last week of the season. Mississippi State's had as strong a fan interest in that program as anybody since the 80s. 1 title. We live in Fantasyland. I love Fantasyland. I never want to leave Fantasyland. It's February 19th, and I spent 5 minutes this morning discussing Omaha travel plans. I'm in Fantasyland with y'all, but I'm aware I'm in Fantasyland. I just love the brimming positivity that comes with this. And no doubt, like, it'll feel like this in August of this year with football. People will feel like that in August. But that first football loss, I'm confident everybody will say, well, it's probably time to burn the boats. That's just how things go. But I've enjoyed the dismissiveness of early negatives because of the status of the program at this point. And I hope you're all proven right for being dismissive of negatives. I hope they go 21-9 in the league and get a top 8 and sweep their way to another national championship. I would love it. But I like to enjoy the ride the whole way. And you'll always hear exactly what I think. And I appreciate LSU fans saying exactly what they think, even if it's something I disagree with. Everybody's real positive at this point. I love it. Come back and close things out on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Ochsner wants to remind you it is Heart Month in February. Great time to focus on your overall health. Everybody does that in January, right? You're trying to get back in shape, trying to eat a little bit better, coming off the holidays. January is a big month where everybody kind of takes things seriously. And then you get into February and people start letting go of the rope a little bit, right? Don't do that. Heart disease is the number one cause of death for men and women, and it's often preventable. Stay active with regular exercise. Try to eat your diet a little bit more balanced, fruits, veggies, grains. Manage your stress. Try to get enough sleep. And if you can, avoid smoking, limit alcohol. Your primary care provider is your partner in this prevention. They can help monitor blood pressure, cholesterol, overall heart health. So get your checkups. Early detection and guidance can keep you on track for a healthy heart. Your primary care can be scheduled at ochsner.org/brprimary. That's ochsner.org/brprimary. Small steps today can lead to a stronger heart tomorrow, so check in with your doctors and make sure you're on track for a healthy 2026. Locations throughout Louisiana, find them at ochsner.org.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Wrapping things up on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, we will kind of pivot away from baseball tomorrow. There's going to be a little bit of baseball. I'll talk a little bit about it. We're going to have Joe Healy on tomorrow. He'll be in Arlington, just kind of as a look ahead to the entirety of the SEC slate and some thoughts on SEC action with Joe. And probably do some LSU football recruiting. We'll talk LSU football with Preston Guy. So we'll do some other outside baseball stuff come for tomorrow's show. Let me look at LSU's schedule as I roll through it right now. Certainly LSU plays at 1 o'clock on Friday. See if that's the last of the 1 o'clock midweeks. It is. So tomorrow is the last one we have to deal with. That's right in the middle of the show. It's a bummer, but I understand it. And certainly not a lot of control LSU has over the tournament games that they play. I know that LSU had a little bit of pull in those early Houston tournaments, where LSU consistently got the night game on Friday, they got the mid-afternoon game on Saturday, and they got the early game to get out of town on Sunday. I think LSU, Paul Maneri, who was in those in the driver's seat early on in those, was like, hey, we'll come, but we're the draw here, so this is where we're playing. And LSU played in those time slots the first 2 times, maybe 3 times they went to Houston. I know they did play one late game on Sunday, which was goofy. I went to Houston that year and obviously didn't stay for a 6:30 or 7 o'clock Sunday night game. But we'll have our last LSU-centric baseball show that overlaps with the game tomorrow. But my thoughts on the weekend overall for LSU, I do believe they'll win all 3 games because I believe they're better than these 3 teams. If Indiana throws who I think they're going to throw tomorrow, that's a significant advantage for LSU. LSU is loaded out of the bullpen. Jay Johnson said in the postgame he did not want to throw Rizzi, didn't want to throw Fontenot, didn't want to throw some of their main bullpen guys in the game last night, and LSU avoided that. So didn't throw Guidry in that game. They'll have everybody loaded for Bear tomorrow. I would suggest probably Ricken is the only guy who is unavailable for Friday's game. So that gives LSU a huge leg up. I think the Tigers are better than Notre Dame and Central Florida, But if Central Florida does throw that former Wofford pitcher, I can't claim to have seen him pitch since he did against LSU in the regional 2 years ago in 2024. So I don't know exactly what he's got, but he didn't have as much as Schmidt has, and hopefully LSU's still got a lot of bullpen pieces left at that point, and LSU's offense is more talented than these teams. So I'm hopeful LSU does what they did in Frisco last year, goes out, takes care of business. They did that in Houston the year before as well. So hopefully the Tigers can go get 3 wins this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I'll have a preview piece up tomorrow morning first thing on LouisianaSports.net looking at all 3 opponents. So that's all for today, except for Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so the jersey worn by Dallas Mavericks rookie Cooper Flagg in the first half of his NBA debut was sold privately for $1 million, a record for Flagg collectibles and a record for a jersey sold through NBA auctions. So is Cooper Flagg already on his way to star path? Take it or leave it.
I'll take that for sure.
$1 million for your first game.
It just it depends on how much money you have. If Jeff Bezos wants to buy that jersey, I think $1 million is
It's
perfectly
nothing,
reasonable.
yeah.
Is that jersey worth a? I mean, I guess if Flagg becomes a 12-time All-Star and a Hall of Famer his first game, I guess that's kind of the
His
bet
first
you're
game.
making on there. It seems like a lot for a jersey a guy wore in a November NBA game.
No, literally. And keep in mind, it was just for the first half. So he ended up wearing a different jersey for the second half. So the first half.
I didn't have that luxury in high school. They weren't letting us change
know.
jerseys at half. We were going to have to wear the same jersey for the first and second half.
Oh yeah, don't matter how sweaty, how wet you get, don't matter. You keep that same jersey on. We don't have spares. So yeah, man, I think he would be on the path. Your first half, $1 million, that's kind of crazy. So reigning Heisman Trophy winner and national champion Fernando Mendoza revealed last week that he nearly committed to Georgia before deciding to make the move to Indiana in the transfer portal. Mendoza added that he was about to commit to Georgia, but ultimately reconsidered once his phone call to Kirby Smart didn't go through. So would Georgia have won the national championship this year? That Fernando Mendoza, take it or leave it?
I will take it.
I'll take it. I mean, he's an
I'll
upgrade
take
over
it.
Stockton.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Stockton play in the
not
Georgia
bad,
Dome
though.
in the Sugar Bowl. I didn't think he was terrible. I thought Georgia got diced a little bit on defense in the second half. It wasn't like Stockton turned the ball over a bunch like the scoop and score Georgia got. So I'll say yes. Why not? He won the Heisman. Like, maybe so. Maybe not though.
But it really just goes to show you just that little bit of his phone call doesn't go through, so Kirby Smart doesn't get Fernando
Kirby needs
Mendoza.
a new provider. Get a new provider there. That's an issue. Cell service, and they don't have any issues driving too fast. They got issues with cell service.
You know what? I tried to stay away from that. It was a low hanging fruit.
2 arrests,
Yes.
more reckless driving.
Yes. I mean,
I don't know. I don't understand. I will say this.
yes.
Athens has very aggressive police in terms of arresting people.
Okay.
They police their downtown very strictly. MIPs are very prevalent. Students go to jail for that a lot. Public intox is given out a lot, more than it is in Baton Rouge for sure. But these guys are going too fast. Like that's obvious everywhere.
I mean, if you at this point, is it not an initiation process to get onto the team? It feels like every year it's the same thing around this time in January, February.
I would like to get Kirby Smart in a room off the record, full 100%. Like, what's the deal with these guys driving 100 miles an hour through Athens? And just see what he has to say. Would he say, like, there's a lot of guys, or would he just be like, these guys are idiots? I would really like to know.
I would too. I would too. So keep in mind, talking about the Bears, you talked about them a little bit earlier. So the Chicago Bears endeavor for a new stadium took a meaningful step Thursday, opening the door for the storied franchise to leave Illinois and the potential to build a dome stadium in Northwest Indiana. Indiana lawmakers, they passed a unanimous to a bill, something they voted 24-0, basically to make way for the Bears to build a stadium in Hammond, Indiana. So is the Indiana Bears a real thing? Take it or leave it.
For those that are listening, going, are you serious? They're leaving Chicago? It's like less than an hour from Chicago.
Yeah, 35 minutes.
It's like the 49ers playing in Santa Clara, Cowboys playing in Arlington, the Patriots playing in Foxborough. It's just across state lines, but it's right there. The Chicago folks will get on the interstate and they'll be there in half an hour. So this is something I've been very aware of. They looked at Arlington Heights, which I don't know where that is, and they've looked at just staying in Soldier Field. But apparently the ownership group is being cheap, which happens all the time.
Sounds about
And
right.
I'm curious. The overwhelming thought was from the Chicago media I heard is that like George McCaskey owns the team. He is George Halas's grandson.
Okay.
And they're saying like if George Halas knew his grandson moved the Bears out of Chicago, out of Illinois, he would not believe. And so, and I think I don't like, not that I knew George Halas, but like that's a big move.
It is huge.
It's a big move.
So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, take it or leave it here on this Thursday. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms. That's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Missed any of our show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. A little bit of LSU baseball preview and a reaction. Also, what's the story going on in Lawrence, Kansas? How does that impact LSU? And could Doc Graves buy the Saints? You can catch it all on demand. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, they're experts in the insurance game. If you're looking at your insurance renewal, you're a business and you're seeing terms for 60, 90 days out and you're going, I need to save 20%. So I'm going to call Jonathan Carbo, heard about it on Hunt Show, and he'll save me 20, 30%. That's not really how this works. Like in this marketplace, that's not realistic. What they can do is make sure that you're appropriately priced because they have dozens of carriers they're contracted with and they can shop. And what they can do is make sure you're covered. If you don't know whether or not you're covered for employment practice liability or what that is, Highland Insurance Group. If you don't know if your building's properly evaluated, if you're looking at co-insurance penalties, if you don't have cyber insurance or what your limits should be, Highland Insurance Group. They're here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide in the state of Louisiana. Check them out online at HighlandIG.com. It's HighlandIG.com.